Hello and welcome back to another episode of Nick Tiffany's Movie Reviews, coming at you online and in print format at nicktiffany.com, in audio format wherever you get your podcasts, and even in video on YouTube. Today we're talking about another Apple TV streaming release, playing in limited theatrical release window. I think maybe New York and LA. Odds are you're probably going to watch this on streaming, but we're talking Fingernails, which is now available. Fingernails, directed by and partially written by Christos Nikou, and also co-written by Sam Steiner and Stavros Raptis. This is a pseudo sci-fi look at love, a surefire way that they've found, perhaps, that's able to tell you without a doubt how compatible you might be with certain people. You know, this is like a near future believable world, I would say, and especially in the way that technology and things are advancing and all the things that humans will always try to create a need for. So in this futuristic-ish type world, you've got Anna, who's played by Jessie Buckley, who takes on a job at this Love Institute where essentially you're going to be working with couples, building their confidence, growing their connection over a number of weeks before you take them to the test. And for the test to work, you simply just have to have one of your fingernails completely removed. I would say not surgically because, it's a pretty, you just kind of grab and pull, which is like, ugh. But effective. So yes, you have them remove your fingernails. They scan them together and you will get a percentage back that will essentially tell you, hey, you guys are 100% a match. So you should stay together. Or you're only a 25% match. So maybe you should just cut your losses. So Anna is with Ryan, who's played by the Bears' Jeremy Allen White. Great to see him popping up in independent movies, at least now, and definitely some more bigger films soon, I believe. But she's been with Ryan for years. They took the test years ago. It was a positive result. They're a perfect match. But she can't shake this feeling sometimes that I don't know if it's the relationship's getting a little bit stale or whatever it is, but maybe the test also wasn't right because now friends are taking it again because it's like, well, we just really wanted to be sure about our relationship. And so whether it was inception or just feeling some of her feelings of, okay, I don't maybe know if he is the right match for me, I'm going to take this job at the Love Institute. But maybe I'm not totally going to let him know. And of course, while working at the Institute, she meets Amir, who's played by Riz Ahmed. And you've got this interesting connection, I should say. Connection, maybe affinity for one another. They're both professional in their work. They believe in the work that they're doing. They want to help couples. They're both clearly invested in this. And they grow to appreciate one another, I would say. All the while, you've got Luke Wilson, who plays Duncan. He's kind of the creator of this test. And you kind of get a little background, this idea that, well, we thought it'd be great if we could just give everyone the results that, hey, and even if it's not a match, that's okay. You can work at relationships, like everything. It just takes a little bit of work. And then he was like, well, we saw historic divorce rates. But I don't know if this was kind of like maybe inspired-ish by the pandemic and obviously the historic number of breakups and divorces that happened during then. But this realization that, okay, well, if you're not my person, if this maybe isn't going to work, then it's time to cut it and move on. And so it's a unique world that they're kind of inhabiting here because it doesn't feel too different than perhaps the one we're in now. And I'm sure tons of people would chomp at the bit if they were like, hey, you could tell me with 100% certainty if this is my guy or not, if this is my girl, cool. Rip the nail. I don't want to wait any longer. I don't want to spend more time searching. And so in a way, some like as just as the viewer watching this, it's kind of like, all right, well, I wonder what the thought is then. Like, you know what? If it's close enough, I don't have to search anymore. We'll just make you my person. And that's it. Maybe I feel like we don't have to work anymore. And, they're like, oh, we're 100%. So why should I keep trying? why do I need to keep impressing you? Why do I need to keep courting you, dating you? We already know we're a match. So what do we have to work on, you know? But then on the opposite side of things, you've got some people, it feels Black Mirror-esque maybe, where you're like, ooh, 25 or 50% match. It's not really inspiring. So obviously we're going to cut this. We're going to nip it in the bud right now. Whereas it's like, okay, well, it's good to know there's some connection there, but couldn't we work perhaps to make that 100%? And so it brings up a lot of really interesting questions about what a relationship is, I think, to some people, and how they view it, what they view as important, and then how they view things after you're already together. You know, is there a need to continue to progress the relationship, to grow closer, to understand each other better? And you've got instances where it's like, yeah, even though we're solid, I don't know that much about you actually, because I just kind of maybe stopped learning because we know that we're meant to be, whatever that means. And I think in some instances, the film asks better questions than maybe it answers. For a 2-hour film, I think with what the story that they told, I think could have been maybe closer to 90 minutes, maybe a little bit more. It's very airy. It's very slow burning. I feel like I use that word a lot, but I'm like, it's one of those things where I feel like I don't often complain or feel like a film needs to be shorter. I'm always advocating for more time in a movie. But given the story that they were kind of telling, it was not nearly as deep as I think they were thinking it was. And so I don't know that it needed to be as long as it was to kind of wrap up what we kind of all saw was going to happen, perhaps, or what we all felt maybe was going to happen. Performances were solid. There was nothing that was just like so standout to me that I was like, oh, this is the best of the year. Love seeing Riz Ahmed pop up in movies. It's nice seeing Jessie Buckley pop up in movies too, especially when she's not being chased around by like psycho killer guys in an Alex Garland movie. But I don't know. Maybe I wanted them to explore a little bit more of the psychology, perhaps, of some of these people, or this whole experiment and test that's been presented to the world, and just how it really has affected some of these couples, or them having some of these discussions as couples. But it was interesting enough. I think Apple continues a trend to kind of delve more into this realm of sci-fi and really just touch it. Well, sci-fi, but blending a little bit of humanity in there as well. And they're still one of the top streaming services, I would say. Even though they don't quite have the library that others do, most of their original content is pretty superb. A lot of their shows, especially, are just leagues above what a lot of the other streaming services are offering. So I'm always willing to give Apple original deals some attention. We're gonna have Killers of the Flower Moon on Apple soon enough. I think hopefully sooner rather than later would be nicer for them before award season wraps up. So as always, thank you guys again for listening. If you want to stay tuned on all the latest in movies and movie reviews and news, stick tuned to NT Movie Reviews on all social media networks, podcast platforms, and on YouTube. There's just going to be tons of weekly content now, pretty much to the end of the year, as we kind of race to hit all the Oscar movies, the blockbusters, and everything in between. So as always, thanks again for listening, and we'll catch you next time.